So today we'll have a look at a new sequencer from Vult Anima, which is inspired by this machine here, the Psychtone, and Anima will also be available in hardware in Eurorack as a Eurorack module. So if you are interested, there will be links in the description to where you can pre-order it and also where you can get the Mysteries collection from Vult, which Anima is a part of, and it comes also, you get also a few other interesting sequencers. In this collection, I have videos about all of them, so there will be also a link in the description to a playlist with all of the videos. So let's really get started. So we'll start with the basic functions of Anima. I have here a simple voice, basal, going through slap, and some delay. For now, the delay is all the way off. And there is sample and hold, modulating the envelope a bit. Right, so for now, I'm going to clock Anima just with the basic clock. Right, you can see it's already moving, and I'm going to send the gate to slap, and the CV I'm going to use for pitch through a quantizer into basal. Now for now there is nothing going on because there are a few controls we have to change first. So there are three pairs of control. We have A1, we have B2, and we have C3. A, B, and C will control the height or the register of the CV, and 1, 2, and 3 will change the sequences that are being mixed and going out of the CV output. I'm not going to get too technical here with the shift registers and the flip-flops and whatnot. Everything is on the Vult website. You don't have to get technical with it in order to enjoy it, but if you want to know more what's going on behind the controls, everything is on the Vult website. I will put a link, of course, in the description. So first of all, we have to activate the pulses, right, which are basically 6 shift registers. Again, never mind the technical terms. Right, so I'm going to activate 3, let's say. And now I can start changing the sequences with 1, 2, and 3. Right, so we have different sequences that we can choose from. And change also the registers or the height, right? And we get a sequence. Right, now this is not random, it will repeat itself, but since we have 3 sequences, it will repeat itself after quite a few steps. But if we want something a bit shorter, we can just send a reset trigger into the reset and it will start from the beginning. Right, so I have here a clock divided by 8. If I send this to the reset input, right, we get something shorter. And still, we can still change all of the controls and get a different sequence. Again, this module is going to be available in hardware, and it's much more meant to be hands-on. So you can just change the controls with the mouse if you want to jam with the mouse, or you can have a MIDI controller mapped to the controls and just jam with it. You can, later we'll see also, you can record the sequences. It's also great if you work in a DAW, you can record them, sort of ideas of sequences and manipulate them. Right, so now we have a sequence. We have here 2 modes that I want to show you. First of all is the beat 4. Again, I don't want to get too technical, but basically, as you can see, it's written also, it will add extra notes. Right, so with the push of a button, you can change the sequence, and then if I turn it off, it will go back to the original sequence. And we have 612, which will basically change this from 6 shift registers to 12, which will create a longer sequence. But here again, I'm using the reset. Right, let me add the delay here. Right, so again, by changing those pairs A1, B2, C3, and by activating or deactivating the pulses, we can like this change the sequence. I have here another thing that I added here. I'm sending this voice to supercell in granular mode, basically granulizing this voice and also pitching it up 1 octave. And I have here another example. I have here another Anima, this time sequencing Tremor 2. Yes, Tremor 2 can also be a voice, which is also quite fun. It will follow also 1 volt per octave. Right, and you can see I have here another sequence going. In this case, I'm not resetting it, so it will just play the full sequence, and it's also playing a longer sequence. Right, and I'm triggering it, I'm clocking it with a faster clock. Another interesting way you can use Anima is a sort of like a Turing machine where you can lock the sequence or open it just a bit, so every now and then the sequence changes. Right, so here again I have a voice, I have bleak going through tangents, and I have it going through slap, and leakage is sample and hold in this case, again modulating the decay of the envelope, and I have Anima sequencing this. As you can hear, it's quite a short repetitive sequence because again I'm using the reset input. But there's another run mode for Anima, and by the way, in VCVREC everything, all of the functions are in the right-click menu. In hardware it will work a bit differently, but in VCV it's really easy with the right-click menu to choose everything. So we have another run mode, we have non-deterministic, by default it will be deterministic, which will be this here, but we have non-deterministic, and if I activate this, now it will work in a sort of like a Turing machine mode, and you can change the values of this mode from 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100%. So if it's on 0, it will always repeat itself. Just like now, if I change it to 100%, it will always be random, which is just like opening the Turing machine. Right, but if I change it to something like 20%, it will be repetitive, and every now and then it will change the sequence. Right? Just like this, so you get something repetitive but with some variation. Again, this is perfect also for recording if you are using this in a DAW, just to get some ideas going of sequences. Right, so this, by the way, I'm sending also to a high-pass filter and a delay. I do this all the time just to send the high frequencies to a delay, so I can do this. Right, so again, we get something repetitive, but every now and then it will change. And of course, also here I can go in and change the sequence manually as well. Right. But it will be, still be some a bit repetitive and change a bit. So it's a really interesting mode. I have here a few more things already. I have here Lepsos, which is also in the Mysteries collection. So if you get the Mysteries collection, you will get also this here, which is a sort of a Euclidean sequencer or not. That's the mystery. This is sequencing a kick drum with Tremor 2. And a snare, the snare is from VCV, which is also, by the way, developed by, so the drums collection also developed by Vult. This I'm mixing and sending through a delay, it's just for extra glitchy, ear candy stuff. Right, and I have here another Anima, which is sequencing a bass. In this case, I'm not resetting it, so it will change every now and then. Right, the bass is bleak, going through tangents, and I have the new chorus from Vult, which is amazing. Oh yeah. interesting thing you can try is sequencing Anima with a sequencer instead of using a clock, right? Just because it says here clock doesn't mean you have to use a clock. You can use also another sequencer. Here again, I'm using Lepsus. It's in the same collection as Anima. Again, the Vult Mysteries collection. I'm using one output to clock Anima and the second output to reset it, right? So we get a really interesting sequence. I will let you listen to this now. The voice itself is Basil going through Wolf, which is a wave shaper from Vult. Right, so we get an interesting sequence. Again, with the push of a button, I can change this and go back. Right, I have here another Anima and a similar voice, Basil through Wolf, and I'm using here the gate output of the first Anima to clock the second one, right? So again, I'm not using a clock, I'm using basically gates or a sequence. You get this result here. Right, and again in this case I'm using the sort of a Turing machine mode, so the sequence will change every now and then. Very nice. What else I have here? I have knobs from Vult, which is a sort of a macro controller in this case. So what it will do, I have here the upper knob. When I open it, it will open or change the wave shaper. It will open the width of Wolf. At the same time, it will open, this was nice, it will open a VCA that will send this voice through a delay, right? So I can do this basically. Right? And I have the same setup with the second voice. Again, it will open the width and the VCA for the second voice. Oh yeah. Right, so we get those hypnotic, mesmerizing sequences. I have here another example. In this case, I'm separating the pitch sequence with the trigger sequence. So I have here a trigger sequencer from Count Modular. I have output A clocking or driving or triggering another Anima, right? So again, I'm not using a clock, I'm using a sequence. But for the voice, for the actual gates for the voice, I'm using output C, right? So the pitch is separate from the triggers, and again we get a sort of an interesting voice here. I have two blicks going through Frick, which is also available in hardware, and slap, it will sound like this. Right, so you can hear it, it's sort of like, it sounds like velocity or something, because the pitch is separate from the triggers. Right, and again, Anima should be really hands-on, really easily changing the sequences. Let's do this again. And I have here a few more percussive voices. I have the gate sequencer triggering a kick drum again from VCV, a tremor as a sort of a snare drum, low quality sounding snare drum with a lot of sample rate reduction, and also a hi-hat, and I'm sending all of those also to a delay for some glitchy ear candy stuff. Oh yeah. So there are a few more features I want to show you. First of all, my voice is VESEC here going through a VCA, and I have a delay, but the delay for now is all the way off, just so we can concentrate on the sequence. Right, and I want to show you the glide feature, which is a sample and hold. So you can either have it sampling the pitch, so there will be change in pitch only with the gates, or the change in pitch will be continuous. Right, you can either change it with the button here, or again in VCV, everything is in the right-click menu. So if I change this to always, you will notice that we get those note tails. Also, when there is no gate, the pitch will change. Right? Right, both are useful. So you can either have this on or off. We can also change the gate length. Right, for now it's 20%. We can change this to be the clock, for example. So now it will output the clock. And it will go all the way up to 100%, which will be just the gate always open. Again, very useful also in hardware. Right, now we can change the sequence to go forward or backward, and this will change basically the whole sequence. Right? Again, with the push of a button, you can just change the sequence and bring it back. Very hands-on. The same we have here, also up and down. Very nice. Right, another interesting feature here is the node distribution. There are a few different modes. Default was until now. We have also binary, for example. Right, it will change basically the weight of the different nodes and how they are being how they are being distributed. Right, we have primes, exponential, golden ratio, for example. Right, so you can really change the sequences again, also with the push of a button here. And if you find something you like, you can always go and record it. Again, if you are in a DAW, really helpful for instant inspiration, but you get also dopamine in the same collection. Let me just mute this for a second. In the same collection, the Vult Mysteries collection, you get also dopamine, which you can use to record, for example, sequences and manipulate them in all sorts of ways. Right, so here I have the sequence. I have Anima going also to dopamine, so I can record it. This will be the voice. I'm using Basil here. There's sort of a bass. If I activate the input, so we hear now the sequence from Anima, I can record it. Right, and now I can turn off the input, so now we listen only to the recorded sequence. Again, there's a video all about dopamine, also links in the description. Really interesting module. And now I can add defects, for example, which will add random notes here and there. If we go back to the first sequence, now I can change it, but we have it also recorded. Right, so I can just do something like this. Right, really interesting stuff. Vult Mystery is all about mysterious ways of creating sequences, interesting sequences, lots of inspiration. I'm going to leave you with a few more sounds. I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers.